an idea. Actually, I have planned this meeting is been okay. Got it. Actually, I have planned something big.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the plan was okay. No, we have people excelling in different fields spread throughout the world. Even our batch of 92 and 94, not just related to what science or engineering or medical or something. So people are doing quite okay in their own field. Bobby is doing good in her field of literature. Martha, I think she's a good geologist in ONGC. Ravi, Arya, everybody, they are doing quite well. So I just wanted to, give a platform to the people who want to share their experience, not in terms of technicality of, okay, like trekking or mountaineering or say something, but something which can, like, which even a layman can understand, so that they get motivated. And I think this has a very big market. People are very receptive to this idea actually in this part of the world. So it's very difficult to get the variety of speakers that we have in our batch, like mountaineering to, all those musicians to all those forest guys, and then no, like women excelling in different field, all those things. So I thought, okay, let me try with our batch first, and if it goes well, then we can slowly expand this horizon to maybe science college guys, means beyond our batches, and probably Nagaland and beyond Nagaland and so many other places. Okay, so that was the very idea. So I think Arya has been kind enough to accept this offer, and then he happens to be the first speaker of this so-called master class, or what we can mini TED talk, or whatever we may call it. So I think Arya has taken a lot of pain in preparing this talk. I think we can just listen to him, and this will just give a brief idea of what we plan to do in future. So tomorrow maybe Bobby will talk about her poetry and this thing. Maybe Martha can talk about her journey of a geologist in ONGC, where all exploration has been done, where all failures has occurred, and where all success has been. It's to talk about both failure and success, and also maybe I think this will be helpful for all. So that is my real intention. So let us see how far it goes. But I have some plans, and I think we'll move ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot, Kirti. And I hope
Martha, I think you are saying something, but
you're
I'm not able to hear you.
Actually, okay. Good evening to all of you. Before we start, before I start, I want like you're telling about Bobby and myself, but what about the others? Ravi, Arya, Amitabh, and all, and you, sir.
Okay. So this was all Kirti's idea, as you just heard. And so he was telling me about sharing my experiences on going on this trek. So I didn't ever think that I did something big, but yeah, he thought like maybe it's a good thing to share. So yeah, so I wouldn't be going into like, I have kind of set this up as not a day by day detailing of what I did on a day. I'm just going to share my experiences, learnings, and some of the recommendations or suggestions that if you are interested in going for trekking, so you can just take it. And feel free to reach out for any questions, any clarifications, and after my presentation is over, maybe we can have some Q&A. If you have any questions, we can go over them. Okay. With that, without much delay, so I'm just going to start on this masterclass. So The first thing that I want to start with is this beautiful quote from a very favorite or inspiring mountaineer, Anatoly Bukriv, who's no longer there. He died in an avalanche on the Mount Annapurna some time back. So he says, like, mountains are not the stadiums where I satisfy my ambition to achieve. They are the cathedrals where I practice my religion. So for him, mountains were the place where he practiced his religion, and his religion being mountaineering and climbing. That was his religion. So he was not there to perform. He was there to do what he wants to do with devotion. So it's kind of like that. That this particular statement actually resonates with me a lot. When I look at trekking or the mountains in general, it's more of a spiritual experience for me, rather than just the physical experience of being there and walking on the hills. So it's always been like that. So yeah, there are multiple ways of going to the Everest Base Camp, also known as EBC. So we chose the standard route, but with certain deviations. It was our first very high altitude trek, because we would be going over 5,500 meters on this trek. And so we wanted to take it easy. So it was a family trek. I had my wife and my son, who was 14 at the time. So this is the route that we followed. I won't go over every name, but essentially what happens is you fly from Kathmandu. So essentially from Bangalore, where I stay, I flew to Kathmandu, and from Kathmandu again you fly to this small village perched on the edge of a cliff called Lukla, with the most scenic and dangerous airport in the world. And from Lukla you start walking. So the trek follows basically the river valleys up until you reach the Everest Base Camp, multiple river valleys, which are all interconnected. And so I have highlighted the places in blue color, the places where that's the route I followed to reach base camp. So in terms of planning, this was a custom itinerary, because you can choose to go on a group tour or a group trek where everything is taken care of, the itinerary is taken care of. You don't have to worry about anything. It's like a conducted tour, right? You go any place, you just go along with the crowd. So what I did in my case was I did some research and I customized my itinerary to what I thought would be the best way for me to experience the mountains. I spoke to a trekking agency in Kathmandu, who graciously accepted my custom itinerary. And so it was a family trek. It was just the three of us with a guide and a porter. We did not join a group trek. I have nothing against group trek, but a family trek gives me the ability or freedom to stop at my will, soak in the atmosphere, and enjoy the cultures, and most importantly, change routes if I need to be. In a group, you cannot. You just have to go with the herd. So that was the plan for the Everest Base Camp trek. Now, just to introduce the characters, I was with my wife, Sonali. She is a nutritionist. She works in Bangalore. And again, like me, she enjoys the mountains. And so this photograph is not from Nepal. This is from a hill close to Bangalore. And also with me was our 14-year-old son, Aradhya. So you can see, like, he enjoys the hills, he enjoys rock climbing. So he was the perfect sport, and he enjoyed the most on the trek, like all children do. He has been trekking with us in the Himalayas since he was 8 years old. And then finally me. So all three of us went along with our guide and porter to Everest Base Camp. So those were the characters of the play. And the time of travel that we chose was April of 2022, last year. The reason why I chose April was because spring and autumn are two of the best times to travel there. That's when you would find it's neither too cold nor too rainy. It's never too hot, by the way, except the lower altitudes. So it's neither too cold nor too rainy. And also the weather is absolutely fantastic. April is the time of the rhododendrons, the one that you see in the picture, all the red flowers. They are the red rhododendrons. I think Lali Guras, that's what they call in Nepali. It's the national flower of Nepal. It's quite beautiful. The lower altitude hills are filled with, it looks like fire on the hills. It's beautiful, actually. That's the spring season. And also spring happens to be the climbing season, when people try to go and, climb Everest and Lhotse and the other peaks around that region. So we can meet a lot of mountaineers as well on the way. That was also part of the plan. In autumn, if you go, then you won't find the mountaineers because it's not the climbing season. You would find mostly trekkers. But autumn has absolutely amazing skies. The sky, it's because it's post-monsoon. The skies are clear, absolutely clear. And so that's what you need up there, because you want to see the mountains very, very clearly. So autumn is best for very, very clear skies. Spring also gets clear skies, but not so much as autumn. Okay, so, and then the whole purpose was to meet people, as I mentioned. So we did meet up with some folks. I have just given two names here. So these were like, I had the great privilege of meeting them in person. I haven't met Jinu yet in person. I mean, since our college. So I wouldn't call this, but these are the two. These are not the only two. I just selected out of a random of 10 or 15 people that I met. So they are Everest summiteers. They have summited other peaks as well, including K2 in Pakistan and other peaks all around the world, the great mighty mountains of the world. So it was really privileged to meet them, talk to them, understand their point of view, what their experience was. It was really, really great. We also got to meet the local villagers on the way. As you know, this region of Nepal is mostly populated by the Sherpa community. They are a kind of Tibetan community who migrated many, many hundreds of years back to this region. They follow the Buddhist religion. And so it was lovely meeting the different people and the ladies who run the various shops and tea houses out there. So now, just to give a perspective on the geography, where is this in Nepal? So I have highlighted the section rectangle in red. So you'll find that that's the region where the highest mountains of the world are. So this is towards the northeastern part of Nepal. So, and you'll find Mount Everest, Lhotse, Cho-Oyu, Makalu, all the very, very high peaks there. Nepal has 8 of the tallest mountains in the world, which are above 8,000 meters, and the remaining ones being in Pakistan and a couple of them in Tibet. This is the region geographically where we travel to. And so from Kathmandu, you travel to Lukla, and this is the Lukla airport. I took this photo on my way out, but it's just beautiful. It's just amazing, this place. So even if you do not plan to trek all the way till Everest Base Camp, I would highly recommend just visiting Lukla, just for the heck of experiencing this plane ride. It's amazing. The runway, as you can, I think it's not very clear, but the plane that is standing on the runway is about to jump. The runway is actually inclined. It's, I think, about 60 degrees of inclination. So when it takes off, it goes down, and when it tries to come in, land, it actually goes up. So that helps in the braking, because the runway is extremely short, and the end of the runway is a cliff. And on the other end of the runway is the other end of the cliff, which is like a drop of more than 500 meters. So it's just one single call. And these are very, very experienced pilots. The plane is small. It's a 14-seater airplane. And yeah, it's absolutely beautiful, Lukla. It's situated at an altitude of 2860 meters, which is right about twice the altitude of Kohima. Kohima's is 1444 meters. So this is 2860, right? Just the double of Kohima. So as I said, we get into Lukla, then we start walking from here. And we pass through various beautiful villages shaded by pine trees, juniper trees. We cross multiple suspension bridges and pass through beautiful Sherpa villages. The river that you see on the picture is the Dudh Kosi River. It's also called as the Milk River. Dudh is milk. The water is kind of whitish in color. That's why it's called the Dudh Kosi. It's absolutely beautiful. So this is the Dudh Kosi River Valley is the first one that we take to go upstream. And then again, we keep going. We spend a night in between, and then we go up. So on the left picture, you will find that we are basically going down, and the wall is filled with the Buddhist mantras. So in the local culture, what I got to know is, so they have things known as money walls, money stones, and these are the money walls in a way where the mantras are written. So in their religion, what they believe is when the wind comes and touches these mantras, the peace and love will spread across along with the wind. So they always have these mantras. You will find prayer flags fluttering everywhere, and that's essentially the whole belief system that they have. On the right, the one that I've highlighted as a Hillary Bridge. Hillary Bridge is a suspension bridge. It's quite popular. I mean, it's one of the most famous ones. It's the highest suspension bridge in this route. The height of the bridge from the Dudh Kosi River is about 200 meters. So, and the suspension bridge, when you walk on it, it moves, right? It's just a suspension bridge. So it's quite an exhilarating experience, and it's extremely windy up there, and it moves, and you're looking at 200 meters below on the Dudh Kosi. It's amazing. And then we come to the town of Namche. Namche Bazaar is at an altitude of 3,440, around 3,500 meters. This is kind of like the heart of this region. This is the main trading center. It's a beautiful hill town, probably one of the most beautiful hill towns I've ever visited. It's amazing. As I said, if you want a short itinerary, just come down to Lukla, walk till Namche, and go back. It's beautiful. Spend a couple of days here. So in Namche, the whole plan was like, so what people do is they come to Namche and then they stay here for a day extra. So I'll talk about it. Why do they stay? And then I'll explain the facts. But instead of staying for a single day, I chose to stay for 2 more days because I wanted to experience this region as well as, get myself adapted to the environment. So it was in Namche that we had our first glimpse of Mount Everest. This is known as the Tenzing Point. So you see a statue of Tenzing Norgay, and the first person to stand on top of Mount Everest, along with Edmund Hillary. If you do not know which one is Mount Everest, actually, this is the one. Mount Everest is just behind that ridge. So you find there is a ridge out there. Mount Everest is behind it. That's the Mount Everest. Okay. So that was our first glimpse of Everest on this journey, and we knew we were quite far from it because it looks quite far. And then we started something known as the acclimatization. So, and acclimatization, again, I'll explain what acclimatization means, but we had to hike to various towns and villages near Namche. So this was a beautiful hike that we did to a small village called Thame. It was about 11 kilometers from Namche. So going back and forth, we walked, we did some deviation. We walked about 23, 24 kilometers that day. It was beautiful and tiring as well. So the Sherpa villages on this route are beautiful. You can see the red rhododendrons. And so let me talk a little bit more about acclimatization. So for people who have not really been on the mountains, this is extremely important. So acclimatization is where you allow the body to adapt to a higher altitude. So because the higher you go, the lesser oxygen it is. So your body needs to adapt to the less oxygen environment up there. So kind of the rule of trekking, probably even mountaineering as well, is that you shouldn't trek more than 300 to 500 meters of altitude gain per day. Okay, stay within that range. And then if you have overall gained an altitude of 1000 meters overall, like since you started trekking, then you need to rest an additional day. So you remember that I told you Lukla is where we started, and the altitude was twice of Kohima, which was around 2860 meters, and Namche is 3444 meters. So we crossed 3,500 meters, nearly 3,500. So we need to give additional days to allow our bodies to adapt, because we would be going to higher altitudes after this. So this process of acclimatization is very, very important, because, and the best thing that I can like just give this quote by one of my most favorite mountaineers, Ed Vistiers. Ed Vistiers, by the way, is the first person to have summited all the 8,000 meter peaks, all 14 of them, without any oxygen, without any supplemental oxygen. So he says that climbing is not about gaining altitude by leaps and bounds. It's day by day, step by step. You are cold, you are tired, you are hungry, you are uncomfortable, and you have to love that. If you do not, then you are not going to be able to be in that sport for very long. And one of the foundational things that you need to do to be able to enjoy and love all the discomfort is to acclimatize. You need to acclimatize yourself to the environment. Without that, you cannot enjoy. Your body will give up. Your body will not listen to you, and it will give up. And that will lead to all the planning that you have done, all the efforts that you have put in, all go waste, because the only way to escape serious trouble is to get down. So, okay. Now, when we walk up beyond, like we spoke about Namche, now we are going beyond Namche. So when we walk up, the vegetation decreases at altitude because of less oxygen. You cannot have large trees which require more oxygen to grow. So there are like very small shrubs and the scenery, but the compensation is that even though there is less vegetation, sorry, somebody is talking. Can you please mute? So yeah. So, but the views and the scenery keep you mesmerized. It's absolutely beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And you can see, like, we are walking here through a small narrow path, and we can see Mount Everest just beckoning us from straight forward. So it's just beautiful walking there. And the beauty doesn't just stop at the walking. So when we are on this trail, and most trails in Nepal, you don't really have to camp for the night. I mean, you don't have to put any tents or camp. You stay in what are known as tea houses. So these are like small lodges that have a central fireplace, which is powered by yak poo, the poo from yaks. That's where you stay, and they serve phenomenal food. We'll talk about that later. But the best part of these tea houses are the locations, the scenery. The tea house that you see on the top photo is right next to this beautiful mountain known as Amatablam. It's probably the most beautiful mountain on the trail. That's the mountain of Amatablam. The one below is you can see the mountain of Thamserku. These are all 6,000-meter plus peaks, 6,500-meter peaks actually, and the location is beautiful. So there's never a dull moment up there. Talking of food at the tea houses, as I mentioned, the food is phenomenal. I chose just 3 photographs here as a representative of what you can do. But you can get amazing food. Okay, so so you can get like dal bhat to thenduk, which is a soup. That's the middle photographs, and then you have the fried momos. You get pizzas, pancakes, spaghetti, whatever you want. Like everything is possible, and the food is amazing. So you are never far from the food. The only thing is, if you plan to go there, strictly remain vegetarian. Maximum have eggs, because that region of Nepal where the Everest Base Camp Trail is, due to their religious beliefs, they do not allow butchers or butchering of yaks or buffaloes or goats or hens in that region. So what they do is the meat is slaughtered downhill beyond the region, and they are carried on baskets right open. I have seen many of them. Unfortunately, I don't have a photograph, but they're just carried in the open. You will find flies and all like sticking on the meat being carried up. So, and end of the day, it takes a bit of while, right, time to carry those meat up all across the valleys and mountains. So I'm not sure if they are in the best quality. So just to be on the safer side, if you plan to go there, do not consume meat. Just strictly remain vegetarian. What else do we see? So apart from the people, the culture, you see on the left side, you can see Sonali standing in front of some shepherd huts. So as you see, there's not much vegetation there. There are beautiful shepherd huts where you can go, and the shepherds are kind of migratory. They migrate during the winters and come here during the summers. So spring was not really summer yet, so these huts were all empty. And then on the right side, you see the Climbers Memorial. So there is a memorial at a place called Thukla, where there are monuments and chortens to all the people who died while climbing either Everest or Lhotse or the other mountains there. So this particular memorial that I took a photo of is of Scott Fisher, who is a very famous mountaineer. If you have seen the movie Everest, you would know who is Scott Fisher. So this is Scott Fisher's memorial, and it's a very sobering experience being out there. There are hundreds of such small chortens. Okay. Now, what are the challenges that we faced? The challenges that you typically would face and we also faced are kind of two-pronged. One is the altitude mountain sickness, also known as AMS, and the other are the usual cold, cough, and fever. Both can become fatal if not treated properly. Altitude mountain sickness. So what happened was we were in this small village known as Dingboche. That's the photograph that you see here. You can see the 4th highest mountain in the world, Lhotse, out there. So in Dingboche, we went on an so Dingboche is again 1,000 meters from Namche. So it's about 4,400 meters in altitude. And so we have an additional day of acclimatization that I spoke about earlier. So, and then for the acclimatization, we go and hike on top of a 5,000-meter peak. We walk up and then we come back down. So it's kind of like walk high and sleep low. That's the mantra out there. So, so when we walked up and we came down, Sonali started feeling nauseatic. So she felt nauseated, and she finally threw up. Nothing bad. It's all normal. At that altitude, these things happen. The only thing to watch out for was anything else happening. So the two most deadly things, if AMS goes bad, are pulmonary edema, where water forms in your lungs, and cerebral edema, where water forms in your brains. So those can be fatal. So there are signs that can tell us whether you are suffering or somebody has cerebral or pulmonary edema. So the only cure, the only one and only cure, is to climb down. As you lose altitude, you become better. So thankfully with Sonali, the things were not that bad. She threw up. We were well acclimatized. That's the reason I spent one additional day in Namche. That was the reason I spent 2 extra days in Namche, the standard day and one additional day, because it helps us to acclimatize better. And then cold, cough, and fever. So Aradhya caught cold, cough, and he had fever. And that like led us into a panic situation. So we gave him some medicines, and finally he recovered. He was weak, but because of his age, he was energetic enough to move on. So that was a scare, and both of those happened in Dingboche, this small, beautiful village. So we moved on, and then the other important, I'm just sharing some of the learning. So the couple of other things that you need to be aware of while on the high mountains, or in general while trekking. Number one is hydration. You need to be hydrated properly. Drink water. Drink lots of water. If you do not drink lots of water, you can end up in those pulmonary or cerebral edema conditions. You can get AMS very, very soon if your body is not hydrated. Number two is water filtering. So as you know, like we were like filling our bottles from the tea houses plus from the mountain streams. So it's very important that you have, what are known as filtering tablets. So you can carry chlorine tablets. We used a lot of chlorine tablets. We had our own filters as well. You have those filters which you can use on the go and filter your water and drink them. And the third most important thing is sunglasses. When you look at snow mountains, you can become snow blind. And it's not a very, very nice situation to be in. Always have your sunglasses in. By the way, Sonali is drinking her water here below the beautiful 7,000-meter peaks, one on each side. This is a beautiful location. So, and then as I said, as we walk ahead, we walk amongst the giants. These are among the tallest mountains on our planet. And so when you walk, you are tired, you are uncomfortable, you are sleepy, but the energy comes just from the goal that keeps you motivated, plus the scenery. It's just amazing. And then finally, we reached our goal, which is this piece of rock, or sometimes the Everest base camp. Actually, this is not the climbers base camp. The climbers base camp is right behind it. So you will find a lot of tents, green in color, behind the stone. There's a complete kind of tent city that's set up. So as I say, that I went in the spring season, which is the climbing season. So people who climb to Everest, Lhotse, Nuptse, all those different peaks, they make base camp there. That's where trekkers are not allowed. That's exclusively for the climbers. So that's their base camp. Is further half a kilometer down from this spot, but you can see it just behind. And this is the spot where all the trekkers are allowed. So this was, we reached this spot on the 11th day of our trek. Our overall trek was for 15 days. So we reached this on the 11th day. It was amazing. I mean, it's like all the perseverance, the struggles, the planning, the efforts that you have taken, the time you have spent. Once you reach there, it's amazing. And the whole thing is like, with climbing and trekking, there's no pot of gold there, which you can go and, get a gold or you get a medal. It's just a personal triumph. It's a triumph of your innate abilities, of your conviction that you can achieve these things, these goals, if you really set out to do. And this applies not just to trekking and climbing, it applies to any field that you choose to embark upon. And so but the whole twist in the tail is Mount Everest is not visible from Everest Base Camp. So the mountain that you see behind our head is known as Lola. That's actually an arm of Everest. That's not the true peak. That's an arm of Everest, much, much lower in altitude. Not even an 8,000 meters, it's just maybe about 6,000 meters or something. So that's not, so Mount Everest is not visible from Everest Base Camp in Nepal. So what do you do to view Mount Everest is you climb a mountain known as Kala Pathar, which is a black hill, and you see Everest. So the mountain that you see, the black mountain on the center right of the photographs, that's Mount Everest. There are a lot of these jet streams. You find the white color. So jet streams are basically the snow getting, pushed away by the wind. And they're kind of, it's like a lot of wind out there. And at such a high altitude, the snow doesn't. So you will find that Mount Everest doesn't have too much of snow. That's because of the wind. The snow doesn't get to accumulate and it just flies away. On the other side is Tibet. So we are standing in Nepal. Just on the other side of Mount Everest is Tibet. So that's how we see Mount Everest. We climb this 5,500 meter small mountain known as Kalapathar. And that leads to the end of the trekking adventure. And then we just get out of there. But just before ending, what I would like to highlight is this quote from Maurice Herzog, a French climber who was the first person to stand on top of an 8,000 meter mountain, which was Annapurna. So he wrote in his book, Annapurna, he says, and I quote, "Annapurna, to which we had gone empty-handed, was a treasure on which we should live the rest of our days." Right? It was just a treasure because it was in their mind. They had the goal. They had the treasure of achieving that goal will be there with them for the rest of their days. With this realization, we turn the page and a new life begins. There are other Annapurnas in the lives of men. So for us, what we found was, we found the true meaning of and the love of life high in the hills and the mountains up there. And what we saw was that we promised ourselves that this is not the end. This is the beginning of our next project, or whatever you call it. So we found our Annapurna, and now we are looking out for the next one. Thank you.